Check this.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Chaotic Strategies. If you guys are new to the channel, my name is Trev, and today I want to go over my Dark Magician deck for the Fall 2021 format. As you guys know, if you've seen any of my other videos, I am a huge Dark Magician fan. Absolutely love just the archetype. There's so many different things that you can do with Dark Magician, and it seems like as more and more support comes out for Dark Magician, it just keeps getting a little bit higher up on that tier list with everything that's out for it right now. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go over my new deck profile. Got a couple support cards in the newest 10s that came out for 2021. Really helped make this deck pop off even more than it already did. And for those of you that are big Magician Souls fans, that card just keeps going up and up in price. I would love to get my hands on 3 of those cards, but the way the pricing is right now on those cards, it's just not going to happen unless we get a reprint. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and jump on into my Dark Magician deck profile. Okay, to kick off my Dark Magician deck for the Fall 2021 format, we are, of course, running 3 Dark Magicians. Of course, can't have a Dark Magician deck without our main guy, Dark Magician, right there. Also, we are running 1 Dark Magician Girl in this deck, along with 3 Apprentice Illusion Magicians. If you don't know what she does, you can pretty much special summon her from her hand by discarding a card. Then you can bring a Dark Magician from your deck to your hand if she's normal or special summoned. And then she also kind of acts like an Honest does for Dark Magician. So during damage calculation, you can pop her off the field and then give whatever monster that you are either attacking or defending with an additional 2,000 attack and defense. So very good card to have in this deck. 3 Magician's Rods in this deck. Again, Magician Rod is kind of a staple in this deck. It allows you to search into the deck for anything that lists Dark Magician within its name with your spell and trap cards. So very good card to have. And then finally, for the Dark Magician setup in this deck, we're running 1 Palladium Oracle Mahad and 1 Palladium Oracle Mana. So Mahad, pretty much if you draw into him, you get to special summon him right away, and if he dies, you can special summon a Dark Magician. And then Mana pretty much allows you to do the same, but with Dark Magician Girl, and it's not if you draw mana, she has an effect. So if your opponent activates a card that targets one of your other spellcaster monsters, whether she's in your hand or in the graveyard, you can special summon a Dark Magician Girl using her. Okay, so that's it for the Dark Magician portion of this deck. Got a few more monsters to roll through, but that's what I run for the Dark Magician engine in this deck. I also run 1 Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. Allows us to get into our spellbook cards, just kind of as more draw being able to get into the deck. And then I'm running 3 Windwitch Ice Bells, along with 2 Windwitch Glass Bells, and 1 Windwitch Snow Bell. So if you guys don't know what the Windwitch engine does, pretty much you can special summon Windwitch Ice Bell from your hand, then you can burn your opponent for 500 life points. And then you also get a free search for Glass Bell. Glass Bell hits the field, you get another free search, and then you can special summon Windwitch Snowbell onto the field as long as you control 2 Windwitches on the field, and then you can run into your synchro plays from there. And then to top off the monster portion of this deck, I also run 2 hand traps of 2 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, just to kind of keep my opponent at bay if they end up going first. Okay, and that takes care of the monsters in the main deck. Moving on to spells, we're running 3 Dark Magical Circles. Of course, again, kind of a staple within this deck. Running 3 Soul Servants, and I'll probably catch a lot of flack for this, but I'm also running 3 Eye of Timaeus in this deck. Now, of course, Eye of Timaeus can't really be searched. That's why I'm running 3 in this deck. And once I get to the extra deck, you guys will see why I'm running 3 Eye of Timaeus in this deck. running 1 Dark Magic Attack, 1 Called by the Grave, 1 Dark Magic Inheritance, and 1 Metal Flows Fusion. Metal Flows Fusion is kind of a one-off, but it does help quite a bit in this deck. I don't use Metal Flows Fusion for the first part of its effect. The only thing I use Metal Flows Fusion for is its secondary effect. So whenever it's in the graveyard, you can shuffle it back into your deck and then draw a card. So it's just another way to kind of get back into your deck to keep drawing what you need to draw. And then I'm also running 1 Spellbook of Secrets, 2 Spellbook of Knowledge. Again, just more draw power to keep getting into the deck, keep shuffling the deck so you can keep getting into cards that you need. And then I got a couple spell cards here from the newest set. The first one is going to be Piercing the Darkness. So Piercing the Darkness is if you normal or special summon a non-token normal monster, except during the damage step, you can draw 1 card. When an attack is declared involving an opponent's monster and a monster you control that is level 5 or higher normal monster, or was ritual summoned using a normal monster, or is fusion, synchro, or exist summoned using a normal monster as materia, you can make that monster you control gain attack equal to that opponent's monster's attack until the end of the turn. You can only use each effect of Piercing the Darkness once per turn. This is a very dirty card for this deck, especially since it's a continuous spell, because being able to get into any of our Dark Magician fusion monsters like Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, pretty much any of them, we're going to be using a normal Dark Magician card to get into those. So we're able to stack our opponent's attack points onto our own monster, whichever one that may be, and just make it a nasty, nasty beat stick using that card. And then the last spell in this deck is a new field spell card that this card got in the newest set, which is Magician's Salvation. So when this card is activated, you can set 1 Eternal Soul directly from your deck. If you normal or special summon Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, except during the damage step, you can target one of those monsters, special summon 1 Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl from your graveyard with a different name than that monster. You can only use the effect of Magician's Salvation once per turn, and you can only activate it once per turn. So it does have a hard once per turn activation effect, but that doesn't really matter with this deck. I mean, being able to set an Eternal Soul as soon as you play that card directly from your deck is disgusting. It's so disgusting. And it helps to keep those Eternal Souls, you know, on the board if you can't necessarily get into Dark Magician the Dragon Knight right away to protect your back row. So that's another thing to remember too. Once we get over into our extra deck here, you'll see Dark Magician Dragon Knight. It protects all of these back row cards as long as he stays on the field, and because his name is Dark Magician when he's on the field, he also stays protected. So this deck can get stupid really, really fast. So that's it for the spells in this deck, and we have just a few traps that we're running in this deck. Of course, 3 Eternal Souls, and then 1 Magician's Navigation in this deck. Again, that Magician's Navigation is just great for a quick play stopper when it's in the graveyard. Okay, and moving on to the extra deck. I'm going to start with all of our Dark Magician fusion monsters. I run 2 Dark Magician the Dragon Knight in this deck, 1 Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight, 1 Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, 1 Dark Cavalry, and 1 Dark Paladin in this deck. So I pretty much have everything set up depending on what I'm going against. You know, if I'm going against the Dragon deck like a Blue Eyes or Red Eyes deck, Dark Paladin really helps out with that. Of course, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon helps us with a lot of problem decks, same with Dark Cavalry, but our main staple is going to be Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, obviously because his name is Dark Magician. Just like I said, on the field he's protected, and he protects all of our back row cards too that we need, since we're running pretty heavy consistent spell and trap cards in this deck. So that's all the fusions for this deck. For our Windwitch targets, we have Windwitch Winterbell, Clearwing Synchro Dragon, and Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. And the reason why I run these is because when we use Snowbell through our setup to get into Crystal Wing, Crystal Wing can't be destroyed by card effects via Windwitch Snowbell's effect. So it's a very good combination play to get him onto the board and also keep him protected. And I run 4 different Xyz cards in this deck. I run Ebon Illusion Magician just because I really like banishment. The more cards I can banish off my opponent's field, the happier I am. Norito, the Moral Leader, just another way to keep my opponent from playing back row. You know, if I get caught into a pinch, I can use him, discard 1 material off of him, and negate a spell or trap card that they play. Number 11, Big Eye, in case they got a beat stick out on the board and I want to take it. I can use number 11 to do that. And then I'm also running a Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, so in case I'm going up against a deck that's running heavy spells and traps, they're going to take damage every time that they play a card through Flare Metal's effect. And then to finish off the extra deck, I run 2 Link monsters. I run Wee Witch's Apprentice, which kind of boosts all my dark monsters since everything in this deck is dark. And 1 Boral Sword Dragon. I chose Boral Sword. I just think he's a much better option than Boral Load for this deck. Being able to target and being able to attack twice, just a much better option, I think, than Boral Load. And then last but not least, I also have my 15 card side deck. So nothing real spectacular here, just more stuff to where I can do different things within the deck depending on what I'm going up against. I have another Magician Navigation, 1 Future Fusion, Dark Magic Twin Burst, a Magicalized Fusion, which I'll show you guys why I have that sided here in a minute, Magician's Combination, 1 Bond Between Teacher and Student, 1 Dark Burning Attack, another Field Spell, Secret Village of the Spellcasters. I run that again in case I'm going up against somebody heavy with spells and traps. Having that on the board with a spellcaster on my side of the field allows them to not be able to play those. I run a 2nd Palladium Oracle Mahad and 1 Cyberstein. I know he's a little different, but he's also a dark monster, and I can pay 5,000 life points to special summon 1 fusion monster from my extra deck in attack position. So it's a very high cost, but depending on what monster I bring out onto the board, it doesn't really matter from that point on. And then I have quite a few side deck options or extra deck options that I run in my side deck as well. I have 1 Mech Knight Crusadia Aramax, 1 Crowley the First Prophecyr, 1 Saruja Skuldread, 1 Windwitch Diamond Bell, just to give my Windwitches another target if I need to. And then for the last card in my side deck, I run 1 Quintet Magician. That's why I'm running Magicalized Fusion and Future Fusion in my side deck too, just in case I can use Future Fusion to send 5 Magicians to the graveyard in order to pop him out, and then I also have Magicalized Fusion to help bring him out as well, because his effects are pretty stupid. I mean, he comes out as a 4,500 attack and defense card, and as long as I met the conditions, it's a board wipe as soon as it hits the field. So just a very fantastic card to utilize if I'm having problems with some more of the meta-based decks. I've got somewhat of a way, hopefully, to be able to stop them. So that is my full, complete Dark Magician deck for the November 2021. And there it is, everyone. That is my Dark Magician deck for the fall 2021 format. Absolutely love this deck. Plays really fast, especially with those 2 new cards, those new support cards that we got in the 10s this year. You know, that continuous spell and that field spell just really make this deck pop off. Magician Souls, come on, reprints. Gotta have those reprints. That card just seems to keep going up and up and up. You know, anywhere between $100 and $130 a copy that I've seen on TCG Player so far. It's a phenomenal card, but until we get a reprint and drops that price down, I'm not running it in this deck anytime soon. I just can't afford, you know, that type of meta deck. But it seems that over the years, Dark Magician, or the last couple years, the Dark Magician archetype has just kind of rose and rose and rose those tier levels with all the support that's coming out. And being a huge Dark Magician fan, I absolutely love to see that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you guys think about this deck. Let me know what kind of stuff you guys run in your Dark Magician decks that make it run a lot faster. You know, with this type of deck, it's not uncommon for me to end on my first turn with Dragoon, Dragonite, and Crystal Wing sitting there on the board at the end of my first turn with the Dark Magical Circle and Eternal Soul set ready to go for my opponent. Also, if you guys would like to support the channel, I am a seller on TCG Player. Every cent that you guys spend on our product here gets turned right back into these videos so we can keep bringing you guys more and better content. I hope you guys are being safe out there, and we will see you in next week's video.